Maybe. Kind of. Sort of. Who knows? Okay, let me share this to Discord real quick. Hey, Nate. Okay, let me invite you in real quick. Hold on. Actually, I have to share this before I do that or it won't let me. There we go. Okay, now I'm gonna. There we go. Welcome in, everyone. So I should have just sent you the invite, Nate. And then I'm going to share with them. Okay. Welcome in, everyone. Okay, let me try again. Yeah. Confirm, and now we're going to send it again. Do you see it that time? Yeah. Yeah. Are you trying to do this on your phone or your computer? I wonder if that might be a part of it. Jackson is back. Okay, so that might be the reason why. Hey, Ava, I'm not 100% sure. Honey, can I have your tablet, please? I'm going to check to see if how to go about doing that. Oh, Lordy Lord. And it starts. Mute. Block.
It's always something.
Yep. Okay. How to stream on TikTok when one person is on the computer and the other person is on cell phone.
You can stream on TikTok with someone on a phone and computer.
Yeah. Why is this thing responding verbally? Okay, so invite the phone user as a guest via multi-guest. I don't know. I have no idea what is wrong with people. Okay. Well, let me do it that way. Try it that way.
Well, yeah, he's going to get his two of his arms right now, actually.
So use the cast to PC feature for a share screen. The phone acts as a camera audio while the computer handles production.
Would you rather have a hand or a saw? That's fine. Oh, so he's going to get his hammer back when he becomes prime. No, he only has.
Okay, try to request to join, Nate. Lovely, Iris Nightmare. Good luck with that
Yeah,
one.
it was probably in a battle. It was probably when he was in a battle, actually. Well, we're still gonna.
How to request to join a live from computer.
That means probably next time we see him, he's gonna be.
To join a TikTok live from your
So,
computer,
I don't want you to
use
talk.
the multi-guest feature in the Live Studio app or browser.
Dan, why
The
is this
host
thing
needs to enable
talking?
guest
I don't
requests,
know.
or they can invite you directly. On other platforms, you might see a request icon if it's enabled.
Because it wasn't doing that before.
To join a TikTok...
Nope. There we go. But at least now I know how to turn that off. It's Live Studio. Are you doing it from the Live Studio or just from logging into TikTok from your computer? Because that's going to be the issue.
Oh my God! Here's the TV.
You know what? We're going to remove you because he's actually wanted here. He was welcomed in. This is a stream to interview him. So bye-bye now. Okay, yeah. So if you logged in, you just went to like TikTok.com and you logged in that way, that's not the TikTok Studio. The TikTok Studio is an application you actually download onto your computer so that you can do streaming. Joining from Studio? Okay. Because it says Live Studio app or browser or have the host invite you. This is really weird. Because you should just at that point either be able to hit request to join, because there should be a multi-guest button.
Then he just pieced the scientist guy up.
Hey, nobody important.
Still alive. How did that?
No, you're fine. You're fine. Because worst case scenario, if you can do it from your cell phone,
Yeah.
if you can't get it from the computer, that's going to be easiest. It's a learning experience for everyone. It's all good. Welcome in, everyone. We are trying to get Nate Stout on. He is running for Indiana Congress District 38. Hi, Kay. How are you doing today? Good. I'm glad you're doing good. Loading. Cool. We'll figure it out. What's up, honey? Oh.
Well, I have this for 3 more days after today.
Okay. Yeah.
Hi, William. Thank you for the heart me. Welcome in.
Yeah. You mean compared to two people also?
We are working on getting Nate Stout in. He is, we're figuring out what he needs to do on his end to get him on here. Thank you for your posting, Kay. And thank you for the heart shoes, the horseshoes. I cannot talk. Thank you for sharing the live. And congratulations on hitting level 3 in the fan club, William.
No, No,
I appreciate you guys coming in here, hanging out with
I
me.
laugh at everything, which wasn't even relative. Well, I guess it was. But still, you were supposed to say. You're supposed to say something other than I laugh at everything or anything.
Love hearing the kid in the background. I actually do. You'd be surprised the interesting conversations he and his friends end up having.
He's got the protection, bro. He's the alpha. That isn't even G-Man. That's one of the robots.
I'm wearing my my husband's Transformer Star Wars mashup shirt because it goes, "These are not the droids you are looking for. These are the droids that are looking for you."
I don't actually think it matters.
Welcome in, everyone.
Oh, he's watching from the views of the camera.
So right now I have the interview from Ethan Sweetland May currently
God,
posting
why
and
is that
publishing
for no
to YouTube. So when that's done, we'll get the next one, and then the next one, it just takes a while for it to upload one.
Oh, that's the guy we were watching earlier. The last episode.
Okay, let's see if...
The one that hacked.
Okay, cool. You're live on the app.
He's like the leader right now.
See, did that work? Because I just sent an invitation.
Mhm. No. I think Clockmen are like fan made.
Well, thank you, Kay.
No, no, I don't think it was from that series. There was just
Okay,
like
because
this
that says he's
fan made
invited.
series that just add Clockmen.
Okay, and then accept. There we go.
So
Hi, Izzy. Thank you for the heart me. There we go. Okay. And then now it's working. Accept. There we go.
Okay. Are you there?
I am here.
How's it going?
It's going pretty good.
Wow.
Glad that we finally got you on and got it figured out.
I apologize for that. I was running late from golf practice, and then I normally like to give it time. I don't know if yours does this. Are you on a computer or phone?
Phone.
Oh, okay. So on the computer, it almost like it re-downloads TikTok Studio every time you try to load it. So it takes forever. So sorry about that.
Yep. No, it's all good. That's part of the reason why when I do a lot of this stuff, I prefer to use my phone just because it's a lot easier to manage.
Mm-hmm.
The computer tends to be a lot more convoluted.
Right. Well, thanks for having me on. Sorry for the delay, but 15 minutes
It's all
late.
good. Yeah, it's all good. Really, it is. Things happen, life happens. I'm just happy you're here. So since we're co-hosting, you won't actually get to see what people say in my comments. So when somebody brings up a question, I will definitely relay it to you.
Okay.
So, my first question I have for everybody is, what were you doing before you decided to run for an office? What are you still working? What's your job? What job were you doing beforehand? Let us know. Who are you? What made you decide to actually campaign?
Yeah, so what I've done for most of my career, I've worked in for some great sporting good brands. I've worked in the golf industry. I've also worked in the fishing industry. I've had typically sales type roles, and most recently I was in the hospitality industry. And due to my own desires to control my own schedule a little bit more, I actually own my own consulting company now. So I work with medium to large businesses that are either trying to grow a channel, get into a new line of business, anything sales leadership related. I just work on a contractual basis. As far as getting into the political scene, I've worked as an electoral or as a poll worker essentially since 2021. In that time, I've started to learn a little bit more about how important state politics are, like the state government. You know, ultimately, we criticize our cities and our counties, but often they're dealt a pretty difficult hand from the state out of the gate. So, learned a lot, and then most recently, this past summer, I had heard that they were exploring water sources on my side of the county. I just built a home here a few years ago, drilled my own well. Well, not me personally, but drilled a well. Right. And I have a real concern with these data centers and their water consumption, and the fact that they're already coming to my neck of the woods is a genuine issue for me. I called my local representative after 2 months of chasing them down, and just kind of my own timing, I was like, you know what, I'm going to run for office. I'm going to see if I can change some minds about how we've been doing things and bring some new perspectives to Indianapolis.
I love it. And it's here's the thing is, I will tell you right now, it's not just Indianapolis, it's everywhere, because I am talking to people in Arizona, Indiana, let's see, I have Oregon and California, I have Vermont, I have Michigan, I have Minnesota, I have Alabama, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, all these people from all these different states saying, yes, please, I want to come on. And the base topics they want to talk about, and I go through their videos, oh, good Lord, it's a lot of the same things across the board. It's systemic. Every state sees this, whether they're red or the blue. Yeah. It's just a lot of it is not spoken of. People don't know that your neighboring state has the same exact issues. Just because they look like they're better does not actually mean their rural areas are better, or their schools are better, or this is better, or that. It's when we get to the state level politics, that's where we need to take our power back. Because if you look at it, our federal government has not been on our side for a while. Our state governments, the legislature, more and more, especially in Indiana, we're seeing them put laws into place that are going against the best interest of the constituents across the board. You have constituents saying, no, that's not what I want, but their representatives voting against their best interests, either way it goes. Yeah. You know, and makes you question like, okay, well, why? Why are you not voting for the best interests of your constituents who are calling and saying, that's not what we want? Yeah, and I have a real concern over any type of non-disclosure agreement with an elected official. I've signed them myself. Right. You know, working in the fishing business, the product is out of the gate now, so it's not a big deal. But I had to sign an NDA because a company developed their own way to hide a trolling motor and then to flip it out and into the water. Pretty awesome. I had to sign an NDA, right? But when it comes to like this data center project that's happening in Howard County, it's assumed it's a data center, and people have asked if non-disclosures have been signed, but guess what? If you sign one, you can't say anything about it anyway. So I think we need to take some overt steps to clear up some of these transparency issues, because at the end of the day, government should be boring. It should be the class you took in high school that just works. It's police, fire, and a quality public education. Yeah, and that's just it. Is government should be the most boring job in the world. It really would. Who really wants to be a pencil pusher and then sign paperwork all day long? But here's the thing. Flip side of that is when that is your job, you best be doing it. Let's talk about the representative. And I know we want to talk about education, and we will in a bit. But we'll talk about Sunbucks then and how they didn't renew that. The what? What did they not renew? Sunbucks. The Sunbucks program. The federal government, where they gave the federal grant the money for food over the summer, and how the representatives opted not to fill out the paperwork. Yep. I did hear that. You want to know how much each kid got? It's not as much as you think. I know my kids are on it, or were. Yeah. It's $120 per kid for the summer. Breaks down to $60 a month, $15 a week, $3 a day to help make sure they stay fed.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where we lost our empathy and our level of understanding that not all kids are going to grow up in a great household, and it's not their fault, right? Indiana has continued. In this case, they let a federal program go. They continue to reduce state funding. The impacts of SEA 1 have fully come to shore. People are realizing that this is a bad deal all the way around. And yet, to your point, they're voting on things like redistricting. They pulled an early session to go through that whole fiasco. Mm-hmm. You look at some of the bills that got through. Now we've criminalized homelessness. I live in Western Howard County. We're getting ready to build a $130 million jail because
actually, believe it or not, the housing crisis, foreclosure, all of that is on the list of what I wanted to talk about because that's huge. It's systemic across the country. Across the country, but especially in our state. In 2025 alone, homelessness rose by 7%. In 2025 alone.
Yeah. Yep.
From the most recent numbers I found, there's about 209,000 extremely low income households across the state. The amount of available housing for those is 70,000. It's not even a third of what's needed.
Yeah. Yep. We privatized, or we allowed big business to profit in every possible market, down to secondary real estate markets that, in my belief, there's always going to be in America, there's always going to be kind of a working your way up approach in life. And what scares me is that I don't think you should have to have some extraordinary grinding career to afford a very comfortable life. I mean, you think about all the conveniences that we've come up with in our lifetime, and boy, you would think that we would really start focusing on making this journey as comfortable as possible. I say this on every podcast. I didn't come up with this, but this whole thing's an open book test. We can look at states that are performing well in the areas that we're not, find ways that we can come together, get some compromise. But unfortunately in Indiana, you see the partisan politics stuff, like it's deep. And as running as a Democrat, I think people are ready for a change, but it's still an uphill battle.
It is. It is an uphill battle both ways, in the snow, no shoes, and frostbite on your feet. It really is. And I say that knowing full well what you guys are going through, because again, you're not the first one I've interviewed, and sitting here going, okay, I still have people to this day, as of yesterday, why don't you run for office if you're so, passionate about it? I could, and I could help 10 to 15,000 people, and that would be great. Or I could do something I've always wanted to do since I was a teenager. Barbara Walters was a huge inspiration for me. I wanted to be a political journalist, and everybody told me, no, go be a lawyer instead. So I didn't do that. Why? Because you could make more money, because it was all about the money in the 90s. Keep in mind, that was the mindset that they had in the 90s, that the career I should choose should be based on what gets me the most money, not what gives me the most satisfaction and joy.
Oh man, yeah, you're preaching to the converted there. I mean, I definitely, I share this story all the time, and like I said, I'm very grateful. I got very fortunate in my career path, the types of jobs that I've had and the things that I've gotten to do. That being said, it's a lot, and the idea that someone is going to want to do the same thing from the time they're 25 until they're 65, I think it's not sustainable in any regards, right? Because I followed the corporate plan, and you stay with a company, but like they don't have pensions anymore. There aren't as many stock options. Like those types of things have fallen out, even at the what I would call kind of the middle tier type of jobs.
Oh, and in my industry, we often aren't even given those options. Period. I'm a licensed massage therapist. In our industry, they try to pay us as 1099 so they don't have to provide us benefits. Period. because 1099 employees are contractors, and you don't have to provide the same benefits to them that you do W-2 employees.
Right.
And Incubus was saying Indiana Dems only want to talk to money people. No, believe it or not, I am coming across, I have 7 so far. 7 people who are running on the Democratic ticket in Indiana on both the congressional and Senate levels who, no, that's the last thing they're asking people for. They're not actually, we don't come on here, we don't talk about money, we don't ask anybody to donate, quite the opposite. Why? That's not what I do. If you want money, do that on your own time. My time is to have a conversation with them to find out what their platform is, what their goals are, what they want to achieve, what they were doing prior to running for candidacy, why they want to do this, why they want to change. Because you know what? We need people who are the change they want to see. And that's what I'm doing is, okay, how can I hope to lead others and show them a better way if I am not the change I want to see? So in my world, okay, instead of running for office, I'm going to interview the people who are run for office. I can interview 200 people and maybe 10 of them get elected, and I've now helped 150,000 people be helped. Is that not a better use of my time? Go ahead.
Can I just, well, I want to just say this because I also tell people that interview me, I think in the next 5 years, we're going to see a shift because I think we are going to see some change in November in terms of elected offices. And I think Braun, his approach to governing Indiana has brought a light to how important state level Congress is. Mm-hmm. And as a result, we are going to have to build an ecosystem of local people, local journalists. The days of your local, WRTV6 and Wish TV Channel 8 or whatever, I don't think that those are going to be sustainable. I think it's going to be people like you who get in early, who build a reputation, because it's going to be so hard to trust people in the age of AI and AI video that you really are going to feel like you have to know the people that are giving you the news. So I think you're on the cutting edge, and I'm, good on you and everyone else who's taken that journalist approach, because I think we're going to need to build that ecosystem.
Because it is, like it or not, I never went to school for it. So I'm going off of the old 60 Minutes, Barbara Walters, all of that, what I remember. And just, okay, here's the thing is, if you're going to run for me, I want to know who the hell you are. I want to know what you stand for. I want to know all those things, because if I'm going to give you my vote, I want to make sure you're actually the person I should be voting for, because I'm tired of being lied to. I am your constituent. I am tired of being lied to. So tell me the truth, because honestly, that's what all of us just want. We just want the damn truth. That's all. Yeah. The American people are so starved for the truth. It's not even funny, to the point where when the truth is put in front of them, they can't even believe it, because they can't believe somebody would tell them the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll never forget when a certain person came up with the term alternative facts. I don't know if you remember that. I believe it was in reference to Trump's first inauguration crowd size.
Uh-huh. Yep.
And
alternative facts. How can it be an alternative fact? It's either a fact or it's not.
That's right. And people are tired. And you know what I like about Indiana? You mentioned those other states earlier. Indiana isn't like those other states for sure. And they showed that with the redistricting vote. All the guys in the House are pretty much Washington, D.C. guys. Mm-hmm. So they all voted for it. They all voted for the land use bill that would give more power to the government in determining land eligibility for, non-ag projects. So I try to keep it simple. The truth is quiet. If you have to yell and scream and jump up and down, you're probably not basing your opinions on a lot of facts. And in business, your number is the number. Like I said, I've been in sales. So if you don't hit your number, mm-hmm. You have accountability. And I also think that we got to get away from it being about the person per se, because the vote is going to show one way or the other. I think it's about visibility in the district. One thing that I'm doing a little bit differently is I'm not an expert on everything. And if you're not familiar with my district, I just want to say it out loud. It's all of Tipton County, Western Howard County, all of Carroll County, a little bit of Clinton, a little bit of Cass, and then a little bit of Tippecanoe, it's a huge area. If you go to my website, just go to natefor38.com. I want to create district councils so that from healthcare experts, education experts, people, I could have 1 or 2 people from every county so that when it's time to vote on legislation or hear legislation, I have a direct line to those people. Like, let's take the dramatics out of politics. Let's build systems. Let the systems run so we can actually focus on doing what we actually care about. And it's not fighting the government and it's not trying to fix it. Like, let's fix it and move on. We've got better things to do.
Exactly. But that's where I tell people is, listen, okay, let's be honest. The federal government has abandoned us. We've lost the federal government. But if you actually go back and you read the writings of our forefathers, of the founding fathers of this country, George Washington, James Madison, Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, all of them. John Quincy's another good one too. Or John Quincy Adams. He was the 6th president as well. And he was one of the first outside of the founding fathers that stepped into that role and had some really good takes on it as to how we could gear it. But a lot of it talks about what we do if the federal government becomes corrupt, authoritarian, and falls. Well, that's where the state power is supposed to step back in, and they're supposed to take control. Okay, well, what happens when our states aren't actually set up to do that for us? We take back our power from the states. We elect in the officials we need to make those changes. That's how I'm making my changes. Okay, bet I took those to heart. Let me go find the candidates that have those messages, the Democrats, the independents, the Green parties, everything that is saying, hey, we're not taking the donor money, we're not taking dark money, we're running transparent, we're running clean, we're running honest, we're running open, we're going to make it across the board and let you know this is what we plan on doing. We're going to pull in the experts because I'm not the expert. If I need an expert on, this, or this, or particulates in there, I'm going to go to the people who are the experts on those. Why? Yep. Because they're going to have the answers. I'm not going to try to guess. Yep. That's what we need. We need people who are willing to go, I'm going to hold myself accountable and be honest, and then I'm going to hold everybody else accountable so they're honest. Why? Because that's what we need. We need honesty in government, not in politics. We need honesty in government because it's different. We need to get away from thinking of our representatives as politicians because they're not. They should be representatives. So I talk about grassroots representatives, which is they're what we're talking about, the kind that you are, where you're running clean, you're running open, you're running transparent, you're not taking big donor money, you're not doing any of that. You're really just there for the people versus our corporate politicians. And those are the ones that they are there for corporate, they're there for pharma, they're there to line their pockets with money because they have been bought.
Absolutely.
That's where we have, that's the definition. So in my mind, as long as you stay a representative, you will never be a politician. But the politicians, they're schmarmy, they're gross, and you don't trust them.
Yeah. It's a very low bar. And speaking of journalists, I see Breaking the Meta just joined on my side. So what's up? He's another one of those journalists. He's covering he's in North Carolina. Okay. But he's doing the same thing. And I think what you guys are starting to build is incredibly important because just that same example you use, and I don't think, I think that we will keep the wheels on the road. I'm pretty confident. But if you think about how you mentioned the state party the state taking more responsibility at the national level, that's really what I mean about, media. You guys are going to take the torch because all the trust has been lost between the national politicians and the national media. They've done that, I think, systematically over the years to just, one of the things about authoritarian
to disenfranchise us.
That's absolutely right. It's one of the parts of the playbook to take power is to sow distrust in the government, then you sow distrust in the media, and then you let a lot of emotional decisions take over. And holy cow, talk about emotional decisions.
So part of that is we find people who are willing to say, hey guys, hey, before you lose your shit, I feel for you because I am right there with you, but I got a better way for you. But if it doesn't work, by all means, raise it to the ground because that is mine. If doing this and trying to help and change it on the state level truly does not work, then raise it all to the ground and let's start over.
Yeah.
But if we can fix it, let's fix it.
Agreed.
The bare bones of the system is great.
Yes.
We just got to rebuild it.
What's that song? If the bones are good. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's a country song.
No, you say country.
Okay.
I'm like, nope.
Well, yeah, I'm a country music guy. I think that same approach, to tie this back into some of the policy stuff, economic development in Indiana has always been very outward focused, especially in districts like mine. You know, places like Tipton, Howard County, they're always looking out to find the next business. I want to build it from the family up. I want to make places like Tipton, I want to set them up for success so families are attracted there, because once you have the families, then, you know, the businesses are going to boom, right? And it's always, yeah, and it's always that.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Commonwealth and Commerce. So what I was going to say is, like, perfect example is like me. I'm a mobile massage therapist. So I actually travel around my state. I do chair massage events where I go for multi-days, but I also do table massages where I go to people's homes. So one of the things I'm looking for is in my state is areas where they are growing. We have 1 or 2 massage therapists who live in that area, so that can be their hub, and we build, you know, a business based around those 2 or 3 people who live in that city and get them going, and then add more people in. And so it's one of those, a lot of what I'm trying to do is actually reinvigorate the system. In addition, because I'll bring up the wage gap, and is really a wage crisis, where $12.50. Do you know, hiring at most spas, they want to pay you $14.50 an hour, but you got to go get a license, you got to get a degree, and you got to do this, and you have to have X amount of hours of training and clinicals. Yeah. But we don't even make $20 an hour. So what I want to do is be able to say, hey, listen to my industry. You can actually pay your therapist a decent, livable wage and then some, and still make a profit. I give them 50% of the service commission, but I pay myself. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think there's a lot of improvement we've got to make with, like I said, it shouldn't be an absolute grind. If you're working 40 hours a week, if you're showing up on time, you shouldn't have to worry about a medical bill sending you off the rails. And the more I talk to people, like I said, people in this area can be sensitive because they're they feel this deep allegiance to the Republican Party. But when you just talk about policy, we all agree on the same stuff. It's just that national, you know, I used to listen to Rush Limbaugh all the time, and his whole purpose was to just poke fun at anything that the Democrats were trying to accomplish, to just discredit them in any way, make jokes. And it's like, all right, I think we've all laughed enough about owning each other. I mean, the right has been owning the libs for a long time now. Let's start focusing on fixing problems. And like you said, let's build from the inside out. Let's take inventory of what we do well as a community. What could we market as a draw for consumerism, not for just another factory?
And that's just it is, because here's the thing. Factories only put us so far, but what about the rest of the industries? It's great when you do have something that brings jobs in, but then you also have to look at, okay, what is the environmental impact of those same factories? Because a lot of them actually have a lot of emissions that are not good for people to inhale. Surprise.
Yep.
So how are those? Go ahead.
I was going to say, and the University of Michigan just put out a study, it wasn't that long ago, about, you know, we talked a little bit about data centers. Like, it's not like we live in the information age, for the love. Like, let's use it. I don't understand why we haven't made more progress just focusing on facts.
Because, believe it or not, the more information you have at your hands, the more willfully ignorant you become. Why? Because it's there at the taking. It's not like you have to pursue it. It's not like you actually have to pick up a book and read and digest and absorb the knowledge. It's just there. And I actually had a teacher on, and he goes, the thing about technology is it makes teaching easier, but unfortunately students have become dumber. He goes, and it's specifically because of what I just said, because they have all this information at their fingertips that they don't actually have to digest it. They're not writing it out. They're not absorbing it. It's just, oh, well, I kind of think I remember, so I'm going to look it up. Look it up. It's always look it up. which is fine. But how does that help you when you don't have your phone in front of you and you need to debate someone or answer a question or know what the hell you're talking about? You can't.
Yeah, I think it's important for people to remember you don't have to have an opinion on everything.
No, you don't.
You can say I don't know enough about that, and I will tell you I suffered from know-it-allism or whatever. I used to struggle with that, and the older I get, the more I realize how much there is to learn, and if I don't keep that sense of curiosity, I might miss something that's going to help me, improve my life. So I don't know. I think we're going to make progress this year. I have a lot of hope. Like I said, I'm talking to a lot of people that they're saying they're feeling the same way and they're willing to vote differently, which is great.
Yeah, and it comes down to policy and this is where I tell people, listen, we need to stop doing party politics.
Agreed.
It's not getting us anywhere. The
Agreed.
two-party system it's broken, it's defunct. It was never supposed to be like that. There was always supposed to be over 20 different parties to choose from. There was always supposed to be options, so we had the best choices available to us. So why don't we go back to that? Just listen to the policies and what these people actually have to say rather than just voting a certain way across the ticket.
Yeah.
Stop
Totally.
voting for people who don't actually have your best interest in heart because, believe it or not, they're betting on that. They're actually counting on you just voting party politics, just voting across the board, red or blue.
Yep.
So don't.
Yep.
That's my biggest advice to people is, okay, before you go to the voting polls, actually do a little bit of research about all the candidates so you know who you're voting for. But then we have the other issue where with midterms, with the the non-presidency elections, only 50% of Americans turn out.
Yeah.
In some states, it's even less than that. It's 30% of their populace turns out.
Mm-hmm. Indiana's the worst turnout in the primaries, and then we're in the bottom 3 or 4 for the general. And that's one thing that I want to try to focus on too on the campaign, just getting people registered to vote and saying, look, you may feel like your vote doesn't matter. There's so many disenfranchised voters, but I'm trying to offer a message of hope that there are people that want to just get things back to normal, back to things just made sense. And if there was a project, you would disclose what it is. And I think we're going to get there, but it's going to take a lot of work.
Oh, it is. Because now we have to, it's an onion. We got to peel back those layers till we get back to the base where, okay, now we can rebuild from there because we stripped away all these layers that were corrupted. They were rotten. They were no longer good. And now we have the base and we can build from there. Because that's just it. We have to rebuild. Mm-hmm. What we have is not working. Let's be honest. It's not working in anywhere. It's not. Are
you in Indiana or you're in Indiana? Okay. Yeah. So I just wanted to plug, I know you have a lot of different viewers. I wanted to plug Mad Voters. So Mad Voters is a non-partisan organization in Indiana that they track. Well, not only do they do a great job of making sure it's easy to find out if you're registered to vote, they also track legislation. They have a really cool spreadsheet that kind of follows bills through the processes and ones that they feel is positive, in general. But again, it's nonpartisan. It's all about the ideas. It's about the legislation, and it's Mad Voters. If you Google Mad Voters, it'll all come up. So, wanted to give them a plug.
So the second question I had is basically comes down to what is your platform? What are your goals? And what do you hope to achieve if you are elected to this position?
So if I'm elected, I've started to say on day one, my approach is going to be to meet everyone that I can in the House and try to establish some common ground. My success in business has come from relationships and from being able to trust quickly and to find a common goal. That's how I've been successful in business. I'm going to use that same approach in the legislature. We all want the same things, and that's what my campaign's all about. It's the basics. It's the basics of what makes a great state. Great public education. If you don't have great public education, you're not going to keep young families. We see the brain drain happen year after year. We get a lot of people in their retirement age coming to Indiana, but we don't see the young families that are going to drive the growth that we need. The second thing is access and affordable rural health care. As hospitals continue to consolidate, as Medicare cuts continue to happen, Medicare and Medicaid, we're going to have to be creative on how we take care of our seniors, how we take care of our vulnerable populations. If there's a theme to everything, it's, getting back to basics, because this is exhausting. I don't know about you, but we all have family members that get to that age, and the systems that we have in place aren't great. My dad has been going through some stuff with, he's got water on the brain, and just getting the appointments, and it's a full-time job for my mom to run him around from appointment to appointment. And not everyone's blessed with a vehicle. We need to come up with solutions that are smart and allow our seniors to age at home with some dignity. And then lastly, strategic economic development. I say strategic because I think we haven't been very strategic in economic development in places like District 38. It's a very rural area. Populations have been somewhat stagnant, if not declining. And we touched on this a little bit earlier, but this approach of going outside the county and outside the district to find some company that will come save the community and bring in 500 jobs. Well, those are, in sales, we call those whales. And some salespeople they're whale hunters, right? They only want to focus on the really big deals. And my philosophy is, if you shouldn't leave any crumbs on the table. And we have so many good entrepreneurs in our community. Tipton is a hotbed of entrepreneurs. They've redone the downtown there. They have retail. They're attracting people from Hamilton County. Like, they're, I think, a really shining example of what investment in local entrepreneurs looks like. And I think we can teach other people in the district that, hey, you can do economic development from within. We could start building pipelines to small business. We're going through one of the biggest changes in wealth in terms of business ownership, with the baby boomers retiring or selling off their businesses. We got to make sure that there's an opportunity to keep those businesses local instead of just selling to the highest bidder, because I've been in big business my whole career, and I've been around private equity, and those guys are really sharp. And one thing that they're doing now to continue to build their empires is that they'll buy a local company, they'll buy a local HVAC company or something like that, but they won't rebrand it. Oh, is that a tortie?
It's a bagel.
Oh my gosh, that's adorable. I have a tortie named Dolly. But from an economic development standpoint, we could be doing things a lot more strategically by using the things that we have, the entrepreneurs that we have, and quit looking from the outside for one company to come up, because that they're always going to maximize the amount of resources that they need, consume. And with those deals, we always pay up front. The citizen always pays up front for economic development in those big, manufacturing type deals. Mm-hmm. So that's my platform. And again, like I said, I just want to bring some common sense back to making decisions. We have a lot of things that we could do in the state of Indiana to make it more efficient. And I want to use my talent for good, not just selling consumer products.
Love it. Well, and that's where we all need to start looking at ourselves and be like, okay, what things can I do that nobody else can or is doing?
Yeah.
Because that's where we're going to grow. Because and I do say this a lot, all it takes is one voice to spark a revolution. So let's do a revolution. And a lot of times, believe it or not, revolution does not have to be bloody, and it doesn't have to be violent. It can be very quiet. It can be as quiet as we just flip the house. We flip the seats. We get people in the position on the state level who will actually do right by us. That's a revolt. It's a very quiet revolt, but that's how we take our power back. That's how we revolt. We don't have to, take up arms. We don't have to do this. We can just instead do it peacefully.
Yep.
Wouldn't you like, personally, the less life shed, the less blood shed, the less life taken, the better. I would rather my kids grow up to be adults, please and thank you. They're 10
Yeah.
and 14.
Oh,
I only have a few more years, okay?
yeah. And you know, I have a 15-year-old son, and with all the stuff with Iran and everything, and I saw the president was asked about was he ruling out the draft, and he didn't want to rule anything out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go. Because my family doesn't have a lot of luck when it comes to that. My Uncle Fred was the first person drafted in our county for the Vietnam War. At 18 years old, you know, immediately started his life in a way that didn't give him the best one, right? He struggled with health issues, and I'm like, man, I'm almost 45, and we're still blowing up countries. We are still making enemies for my grandchildren.
Yep.
I don't know how anyone can put up with this stuff anymore, but we can't change Washington until we change Indiana, and so that's why I want to get busy here, and because there's so much upside. I see so much value in places like District 38 that we can grow and be a modern place, but we don't have to live and die by these crazy economic deals.
No, and then I have a friend who has connections with the DoD, and we actually were talking about that because I told her, I said, point blank, they reinstitute the draft. I've already told my son, I said, we'll take the cats and we'll leave. Your dad and sister will follow behind. Period.
That's crazy to think
I'm not
of.
sorry when I say I will not let that happen to my son. My brother fought in Afghanistan. He did multiple tours.
Wow.
I have multiple friends who came back and multiple friends who didn't. Everybody who went into the military, a part of them was lost forever, and they are forever broken. And I will not do that to my son. I will not do that to my daughter. I cannot. I can't. They deserve to keep that part of themselves intact.
I just don't know why we haven't been able to figure out how to solve our differences with words and not, $3 million bombs.
But what she did say is they are most likely not going to reinstate the draft. Instead, they will just recall everybody who retired in the last 10 years. She goes, less needing to train and less likely for the fragging. I'm like, they're being smart with that one. Because do you know how many Gen Zers would be like, thanks, man, I'm done.
Yeah.
Take me on to the next one. Yeah, nope, mm-hmm. Yep. It's like, yeah, that might actually be smart on their choices. I'm telling you, everybody who's retired is not going to be happy, but it's better than the alternative.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. But yeah, so I like that. I like that. And so we'll start in on housing crisis. Like I said earlier, the fact that in 2025, it's roughly 209,000 extremely low income households. The affordable available housing is only 70,000-ish. The value of homes have increased 42% since the summer of 2020. No wonder everybody's making profitable record highs every year since then, because they keep we got to make more than we did last year, and then the prices just keep going up because, we the people are going to be the one that pays. It makes our mortgage prices go up. It makes it much harder, especially for a first-time owner, to get a house.
Mm-hmm.
But we're the problem.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot of what we hear is, it's the issue is, it's because millennials and Gen Zs are lazy, or it's this or this. No, it's just that our wage level is here, and you're putting the house ownership level here, and we can't bridge it. We are trying,
Right.
but we can't bridge it. And then we have the boomers who are finally selling their houses that have appreciated, 10,000%, and they bought it for $50,000 back in the 70s, and now they're selling it for $600,000.
Yeah. Yeah, some people have
That
gotten
makes
some.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah. As far as the housing crisis goes, I guess, is your question what's your question?
So, it's not more of a question, it's more of a conversation of, you've talked about, the economic stability is in your own county with knowing homelessness is rising. It's happening across the board. It's in every county in Indiana, rural, metro, it doesn't matter. People are being ousted out of their houses. And the flip side of it is there's a lot of places that the land's being bought by foreign investors or BlackRock. In parts of Indiana, BlackRock has a monopoly on utilities. So I know Ethan, he just jumped in and he goes, his buddy in shipping at his company is a vet, and he would not do that. 2 tours already. He's
Wait,
somebody I'm
Ethan
obviously gonna
Sweetland?
Uh-huh.
He's my favorite.
Yeah, I
Here.
adore him. He's awesome. So yeah, he's in here. And I know he was actually the one that turned me on to the BlackRock. And the more I looked into it, the more I'm like, oh my God, what they're buying up is, so it goes hand in hand with those data centers. Is they're buying up the utility centers for the data centers that are being, so water. They're buying up the water plants or the electricity plants for those data centers, so that the money coming in from us goes directly to BlackRock, and they're still using all that energy to support their data servers because they bought the land, or a foreign investor of theirs bought the land, or an umbrella company of theirs bought the land. But if you keep looking back, it's tying back to either X, Y, or Z, and none of it is actually putting the money back into our local commerce.
Yes. Allowing giant companies to keep growing at uncapped rates, that bill's coming due, unfortunately. As companies buy other companies, zap out all the profits, repackage them, sell them to another, like that game of Hungry Hippo ends at some point. Yeah, it has to, right? And letting our utilities and things be privatized and not protected, they're regulated, but we saw Indiana Republicans, they blocked a bill that would have saved paying sales tax on our utility bills. So I don't really understand, but I think we have to legislate some protections for our land. I hope that, I'm sitting here looking at a Farm Bureau card. There are a lot of farmers in Indiana that don't want any of this type of economic development. And even if it's not in their backyard, they're upset enough that they're showing up for other people. In Howard County, there were people that live out by me that showed up to the protest. And, a lot of those folks had never protested before. Some of them had, and it was nice because that was definitely a nonpartisan issue. We all care about the land. We all care about our natural resources. So we've got to legislate protections.
As I say, a lot of these are nonpartisan issues when we take a step back and we start stripping the party labels about going, guys, we actually all agree on the problem and the solution. So why are we fighting each other? That's stupid. And like Innkeeper said, in parts of Indiana, they're projected to see a $400 a month rise in energy costs.
Yeah. Yep, that sounds about right.
Yep, and it's one of those, I have seen people, they've shown me the emails or the letters they've received from the state saying that they need to conserve their energy because the energy needs to be used by the data centers. And I'm sitting there going, so when are they going to start with water? Is that going to be the summer saying you can't drink water, you have to reduce your water intake because the data centers are using it?
Yeah.
And then the flip side is, okay, well, what happens to all the waste from those data centers? Because there's going to be waste. And it's going to be in the water on the backflow part. So how are they going to handle that? Is that even regulated? Are they even talking about that? I have not found anything talking about the waste management and how that's going to be handled from those data centers.
Yeah. Well, and the Howard County example, they're not even willing to admit that it's a data center yet. They're doing, and I think it's important for people listening in Indiana, because I don't know what it's like in the other states, but in Indiana, once a parcel of land is zoned, any company that follows the zoning ordinance can build whatever they want within the zoning guidelines.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And
until we figure out how to put some teeth into saying we like these types of developments, but we want to protect our community from this, they're not willing to listen. They're not even, they're just hoping to get through these next couple of weeks and get it voted so people will just get over it. Because that's the way that it goes.
Once they push it through, people just go over and move on. They won't care anymore.
Right.
And it's like, well, now, here's the thing. Is Do we need to go back to the White River and all the chemicals in it, and how back in 2017 they rolled back the law that made it so that corporations or companies that had oil or chemical spills on the U.S. soil had to pay a $150,000 fine and clean it up? And when they rolled it back, it went back to $15,000, and they didn't have to do anything with it. It was up to their discretion whether or not they wanted to clean it up, and they never do because the chemicals will just wash out of the groundwater in the 7 to 15 years. But in the meantime, everybody's going to get cancer, and the animals are going to do this and that, and so you're going to be eating poisoned food all the time. But you guys are fine. You're fine.
Yeah.
So, and that for me goes hand in hand with the whole healthcare, because if they took the preventative measures and cleaned it up, we wouldn't actually need as much healthcare. But they're keeping us sick by allowing all those chemicals to be in the water. And I've actually called some of the water treatment centers in Indiana and talked to them about this. And what I was told is that the chemicals in the water are safe for adult human consumption as long as that person is 150 pounds and 6 foot tall. It's safe. Anything smaller than that, the chemicals in the water are not actually safe for you. So no wonder a lot of animals are showing up with cancer.
Ugh.
Our animals, our pets are our canaries right now. And Ethan was the one who said that one. He goes, oh, great, our pets are our canaries. I'm like, yep, that's exactly what they are.
Yeah.
That's
And
what we know, that it's not good for us.
Yeah, the bar is low right now. But the nice thing is, yeah, we've got facts on our side. We've got data. So yeah, we just got to keep clinging to that, and I think if we keep unifying around these core issues, you know, you mentioned Ethan. One thing that I really appreciate about him is that he's just such a dynamic storyteller, and that's what leadership should be in government. It should be somebody that is going to explain things in basic terms, be visible, be accountable, and we got to get away from all this dramatic politician stuff. I mean, I just stuck myself out there because, number one, I didn't know if anybody else was gonna, and I'm working on my public speaking skills. I'm getting to meet all kinds of people and hear all kinds of stories. A guy that was I don't know if he's still in the chat, but we're actually cousins. He saw my last name, asked me about my grandfather on my Stout side. Turns out we're like second or third cousins, and then you know, it's just been a great opportunity. We got to go back to sticking out hands to people and just introducing yourself and saying who you are and what you like to do. The tension is too high. Yeah.
I don't know any of my neighbors' names.
Well, hey, and you know what? I know my 4 closest neighbors, but I could definitely do better. And certainly, you know, walking my district is tricky. What's that?
Growing up, I could tell you everything about every family on the street.
Yep.
We used to have block parties where we'd actually get together in the summer for, you know, every summer, like it was usually around the 4th of July, and we'd have a block party and we'd celebrate together. You knew your neighbors. We had community, but since about the 1920s, 1930s, they've been pushing the nuclear family ideas, and we've all become isolated from each other. And that became extremely, extremely apparent in 2020 when, well, the pandemic happened, and, well, everybody was at home going, oh, God damn, I know nobody. I have no friends near me. Everybody I know is online.
Yeah.
All of my friends live in different states. Okay. Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, we need to get away from that some and back to the whole, maybe not full extended family, but at least community-based living where you know your neighbors and you guys help each other out and you barter things, and we are actually dependent on each other and not just dependent on ourselves and the government.
Yeah.
That's kind of what they wanted, is us dependent on the government, because then we're easier to control.
Yeah, well, and I certainly think the family dynamic has shifted from, like you said, kind of everyone sticks around to everyone becomes independent and builds their own place, there's, you know, their homes. And again, I'm just trying to be open to what is the new formula. You know, like my daughter, she graduated from high school. College wasn't the right choice for her. and she's chasing her horse dreams right now, which I'm very excited because, hey,
Let her do
when
it.
you're 18, what better time to chase dreams, right?
Yep.
So I think everyone just needs to slow down. Honestly, let's all slow down a little bit. This, like I said earlier, this life is difficult enough without the government making things harder. So I'm hoping to bring the temperature down. Let's talk about the things that we like to do with our free time and find ways that we can all do that and not be worried about, what party someone's affiliated with or whatnot.
Because unfortunately, that's where we're at right now, especially with who we have in the office. I don't think before his first presidency it was as big a deal. I think it's something came about during his presidency that made it so that you more judgmental based on the party somebody was in. Before it's like, yeah, but you didn't really care because it's just politics, right? And
Yeah.
now it's like, you're up in arms because, oh no, you're not my party. We have to fight. It's like, nah, I bet. Like, there's one or two things in the Republican Party that I actually agreed with the policies. Most of them I don't. Most of them I do not understand. But there's one or two I'm like, actually, that kind of makes sense. Why did we not have that before? Most of them are just like, no. Give me back my right. No, you don't take away people's right to vote. The SAVE Act is not the way to go. No, why were we doing that? When binders full of women cost Romney the election, simpler times. Oh, God, yes. So Incubus is saying, is Tipton slated to be the new Westfield with the 31 North expansion?
That's a great question, and I don't really think that that's what they want to be. And I think that, like I said, I think Tipton's doing a great job already with, they've made some improvements to their downtown to make it more walkable. And, it's funny, people get upset about everything change. But there's science and there's data. We've been tracking things. Let's talk about roundabouts. People used to hate those, and I get it. Maybe it's annoying, but they've reduced fatalities at certain intersections by 70 and 80%. That's amazing. Because again, yeah, go ahead.
We have one intersection, and it's on State Road 37. State Road 37, and where Christian becomes Greenfield. So it's this intersection. What is it? Cumberland is right up there. I swear, at least once a month, there is an accident there and there is a fatality. And when I heard they are going to be turning that intersection into a roundabout, as much as I hate the construction that is going to happen, because the construction on 37, it's been going on for almost a decade, okay? Yes, please, that is the one intersection I would actually say yes, that should have been done years ago. Because it is such a deadly section, because you have 3 lanes going one way, but you only have 2 lanes going another way, and then you have 3. Yeah. And then people try to turn when it's not there. It's the milk truck that got turned over was the best. It landed on another car. Fortunately, there was no fatalities, but it got turned over because it took the turn too sharp, and it landed on the car next to it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, but I use that as an example because it's a fact. Walkable downtowns improve commerce. People don't want to walk in areas they feel like they're going to run over because they got semis and stuff driving downtown. So I think Tipton, they're doing a great job. And I'm not just saying that because that's where I went to high school. And, I love all my Tipton people because I live in Howard County now. It's weird. My kids go to Kokomo, so I've had to be like a wildcat. And even though in my heart I'm a Blue Devil, so any Tipton people watching can get that. But no, I think Tipton's going to be fine. I think we just got to find out how do we fit into the long-term plan. Again, state government is often overlooked. A lot of people don't know who their local representative is. I think we're going to see more people paying attention to that, which I think is important because a lot of these things that we want to change, I want to get our counties from feeling like they're competing against each other. I want to find out how counties can start to collaborate. How can we start to gain efficiencies in markets that are just like the one that I'm going to represent? Which brings me to one other group I want to plug. And I'm not sure if they're on TikTok or not, but it's the Indiana Rural Summit. Michelle Higgs is the organizer. She's based out of Bloomington. And essentially it's another nonpartisan organization. Oh,
Ooh, a phone call coming in.
oh wait, hold on a second. Okay. Oh, I almost got kicked.
It's all good.
I completely lost where I was though. I'm sorry.
Indiana Rural Summit.
Oh yes. So
No, it's
along those same lines, yeah, along those same lines of collaboration, the idea is there are a lot of rural districts. Like District 38 is comprised of pieces and some of total of 6 counties. 6 counties is a lot. Indiana's 92 counties, right? I mean, how can we?
I used to do payroll. I used to do payroll for a third-party processor. So I did payroll for everywhere in the United States. I'm well aware there's a lot of counties, a lot of districts in Indiana. When I was writing down and like sending emails to people, I'm like, oh, 4. There's a 90. Oh, a 92. Huh, cool. I forgot about that. Yeah, Indiana has almost 100 counties.
Yeah, and I don't know. And again, I'm learning a lot, but we've created this environment of competition all the way down to our public schools. Public schools, they feel obligated to max out their spend of their capital improvement budgets, which are set by the state, by the way. And they cannot use that money for anything else. So you have all these county schools with great facilities are getting better, but the population isn't growing.
Right.
And I just want to go back to the days where those rural schools they were like the ones you wanted to get as a teacher coming out of college, right? Because you could build a life there, right?
Okay, so I grew up in Washington State. I went to Snohomish High School. It was a farming community. I mean, all said and done, my class had less than 200 people in it. Okay, and we were one of the larger classes. Our school, we had the freshman campus, and then we had the high school because, well, it got to the point where there were so many freshmen coming in because it was actually growing in community that they had to make a second campus and just have 3 here and 1 there. I will tell you, I would not have traded that for anything because I did my senior year here in Indiana, and the classes I was sitting there going, and they're telling me the classes I were taking, they're behind. Like, I learned this 2 years ago. Can you actually teach me something that challenges me, please? Oh, but you went to a rural school. Uh-huh. Yeah, and I did trigonometry as a sophomore, and you're making me take it again as a senior because, well, they're not as blah, 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 blah as us.
Yeah, the quality of your education shouldn't depend on your zip code, and that's been a line that people have used to justify school choice. But no. Like we said earlier, the bones are good. We have a great public school system. Do we need to make some improvements? Yeah, but guess who's been making all the changes in terms of the curriculum and the testing? The people in Indianapolis. I want to give control back to the local school districts where superintendents are responsible for, yes, not only hitting state, but like we should be gravitating towards a more national standard. I'm sure we do in some ways, but again, that's why I'm going to have a team of teachers as district representatives or district council members so that whatever we decide to do, the teachers that I trust from the counties will have their voices heard.
No, and that's perfect. That's what we want is because, again, like we said earlier, you want the experts to do what the experts do. And that is tell you, hey, as the expert, XYZ, you want to do ABC.
Yep.
Cool. Great. Thank you. That makes things so much easier because now I don't have to figure it out on my own. I have these 6 people who figure it out for me and then say, hey, we've agreed this is what you need to do. Yep. Beautiful. Makes sense. So Ethan had a question and he goes, if you could snap your fingers and have one thing be law tomorrow in Indiana, what would it be?
Universal pre-K. What's he say? Did he give me a heart? And I say that. And thanks, Ethan. I think universal pre-K is that's our next big mission. Like, we have to fix the school choice program. We got to get public education funded properly, but we also have to convince the Hoosiers that we have to prioritize early childhood education because if we don't, we're already starting from behind. And as you mentioned, nationally, we're already struggling. You know, they were going to make changes to our diploma process so drastic that our own colleges weren't going to accept that diploma. I'm sure you've heard that, right?
Oh, no. My son, he was the first year of that. And so we're setting it up, and we've talked to his counselors so that way they actually have included a little bit more of what he needs, because his goal is still to be a vet and he wants to go to Purdue. And as it is, with the requirements they have now, he would not qualify to go to Purdue. He would barely qualify to go to a trade school in our own state. Yeah.
Yep.
A trade school would be the best he could get in. He could not go to Purdue right off the bat. He'd have to go to a trade school and then take community college classes in order to get into Purdue.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's crazy.
So you just put him 6 years behind in his schooling.
Yeah.
How's that fair to him?
It's not, and it's, again, we could do so much better. And I think that what's exciting for me, you know, you mentioned Ethan.
By the way, he said, "Hell yeah, brother."
we're besties. He doesn't know it, but we are. It's, you know, what's devastating about him.
Well, he doesn't know it, but we're besties too. So
he's like 6'5". I might even be underdoing him at that. Like, he's tall, talented. What more could you like? But in addition to him, there's a ton of other people running for. We've never had this many Democrats running the House races anyway for quite some time, and you know, obviously Ethan and I are dudes, but tons of great women. I think women are great leaders, especially in, you know, the nonprofit sector has been held up by a lot of them, and I would love to see us elect more of them. But yeah, Ethan and I I'm glad that we have each other's support.
well, and that's one thing where there's a lot of rhetoric going around. It is driven a lot by the Christian nationalists, the Christian movement, about how women shouldn't be in politics and we shouldn't even have the right to vote. And it's one of those, you realize it's been 100 years since the 19th Amendment was ratified, and we women are still having to go to war to keep our right to vote. Like, and I know in this case, Ethan's affected too, because the SAVE Act, his birth certificate and his last name don't match. It's hyphenated.
Yeah.
I'm one of the few women that I'm married, but I opted to keep my maiden name, period. My son's last name matches mine, so I decided I'd never change it.
Yeah.
So I'm one of the few women who's married in this state that doesn't have to do anything, and I still can go vote. But I have to re-register to vote, because if you're registered to vote, you're probably not registered to vote anymore, especially if you're a Democrat, independent. Just throwing that one out there.
Yeah. No, I don't.
Last name problems.
Yeah, I don't understand how, and I see arguments on Facebook, and I am glad that people are still out there trying to slug it out with each other, because we have to keep talking. And what I would encourage my fellow, you know, progressive thinkers and people that want to make the future brighter is that we got to keep rephrasing and reshaping the conversation about in ways that, you know, we got to find the common issue with the people that we're talking with to find some common ground. Because like we've said a couple of times now, we all generally want the same things. When people find out that I'm a Democrat, they kind of react, they get emotional in a certain way. And I just like to remind them that, hey, someone told you something about a group of people, and I'm me. This is a two-party game. I picked the other party because one party's been in charge since, you know, for most of my life. Right. And that seems to go over okay. But yeah, getting back to just common sense stuff is exciting, and I think people are listening.
You know, saying it doesn't matter if we poison our youth's food, and that's part of the problem. Is I agree. Our youth do not eat the same fruits, vegetables, and meats that we ate in our childhood. And I'm going to tie that back to the chemical spills that don't get cleaned up in the United States. That stuff gets in our groundwater. It gets put in our food. It gets put in our fruits, vegetables. It gets put in our animals. It gets put in everything that's used in our country that's created into processed food. So your Kraft macaroni and cheese, your noodles, all of that could genuinely be contaminated by the chemicals that spilled 5 years ago, and you're not going to know that. That's the problem, is you're not going to know that. How would you? But the cornflakes that are in the Kellogg's cornflakes and bran and all that, I'll tell you, it's probably contaminated because corn's big in the Midwest and it's all fed off the White River. All of it. Or one of the other lakes that had a really bad oil spill next to it. It keeps happening, but they're not cleaning it up. They're just letting it soak into the ground and contaminate the ground, and then that contaminates everything, which is, no, you're not wrong. Absolutely, 100%. We're not eating the same food. But that's the reason why go organic. Organic is going to have less of those chemicals in it. It just here.
Yeah. One other thing that I'm passionate about, I'm actually a deer hunter. I process all my own venison. I do all that stuff in my garage, and it goes straight from my grandparents' farm to my freezer. And I feel really, what's that? You love that?
I love that. No, I love that.
Yeah.
But I also like deer meat, especially deer jerky.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You
well, and
tried me spicy deer jerky? Oh yeah, no. If you came up with a bag going, "Hey Shadow, I got this for you. If you do this for me," I'd be like, "Bet, done. I don't care. Just give me the jerky."
Yeah. Hey, I started it because I lived in California, and I remember seeing some of these big feed cattle operations, and it was just so dirty and gross. And back in the early 2000s, there's a lot of like food documentaries, and you're exactly right. I don't know why we're not prioritizing what we're. It's like we just. Everyone knows, like, you got to spend.
Answer it for you why we're not, and it has everything back to do with Trump's first presidency. He ceded the Supreme Court, and since then they have overturned all these laws claiming they are unconstitutional about monopolies when it comes to various different things. They overturned in 2022. They made it so that insurance companies could have unilateral agreements with pharmacies because it was ruled unconstitutional that they couldn't, which is why now CVS has a unilateral agreement with Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield. And if you have Anthem, you can only use CVS pharmacies. So the reason why is because the amount of money that goes into cleaning up those spills is significantly more than what they want to pay. It's we're talking millions upon millions of dollars to clean it up. And they don't want to pay that because that eats into their profits, and because some of those companies would have to close if they did.
Yeah. Well, and obviously, I'm staying focused on the state stuff, but Citizens United changed everything. When corporations had the same basic government protections as a person, we lost the control. And I think, like I said, people are they're noticing. Oh yeah, it is all these rich people that are, getting together, and I used to think we all were aligned, thinking that Mark Zuckerberg was a little bit of a dork, and somehow he's the guy's bulletproof. I mean,
now ruling in the ruling class of our country.
Yeah, it's weird. It's really weird.
How
But
did that happen?
I don't know. But again, I'm very hopeful because we have a lot of great people like Ethan, like Natasha Baker, who's running up near Lafayette. Kirsten Root, Joe Caslis, Jack Chance. I mean, just in my backyard alone, there's probably 6 or 7 candidates that are. We're all working together. We're all sharing ideas. Oh.
You're being called again.
Are you there?
I am.
I think I got booted.
You're still there.
Okay, hold on. It's reconnecting. Okay, sorry. It was weird. It just went black and said reconnecting. Okay.
Yeah, so you got a ring, then you got a phone call, and I'm like, yep, no, you got a call. And then
that's really weird.
And understand, I agree. We're focusing a lot on state level, but these are also the things that affect the people on an even deeper level. Where if we can't get federal protections, we need state level protections when it comes to some of this stuff. What do we happen if it happens in our state? Or is it just going to be the same thing? Are we just going to have to suffer through it because they don't want to clean it up? I mean, there needs to be regulations put in on the state level saying, hey, guys, yeah, we can't be more stringent than what, you know, the EPA says, but we can actually put some other things in place so that way, if it happens, these are the protocols. Because as it is, not cleaning it up is not the answer.
Yeah, and like I said, just like with economic development, it's kind of that middle out. We got to start with Indiana. We got to make Indiana, like, wouldn't it be great if we just tried to make Indiana like the
Indiana
most
a place that people want to live? Because goddamn, I have been looking to get out of Indiana for years. I'm going to be the first person to be honest about it. It's one of those, this is my last chance, my last ditch effort to try to help everybody around me and myself before we pick up our roots and we move. Because we've lived here the kids' entire lives. My son will be 15 soon. Dan's had this house longer, almost 20 years. This is our home. I don't want to walk away from it. But if I cannot safely and comfortably raise my kids and be able to give them a bare minimum lifestyle of having food on the table, a roof over their head, and their mom not crying herself to sleep every night, then that's literally the basics of what I want. If that's too much to ask, I can't stay here. I don't want to move. I'd rather stay. My family's here. My friends are here. My life is built here. But if I cannot do those three basic things, this is not the place for us. And that's something we have to look at is, do we stay or do we leave? The Department of Education, that's huge, because if my son can't even go to the university and state that he wants, that's a problem. Especially when Purdue's one of the top tier veterinary schools in the United States, let alone in the world. It's one of the top 10. That's saying something. We've done our research. So but it's one of those I've also has to caution him, like, he may not get his dream school because he may not have the credits for it because they're screwing things up on the high school level and in the public level. And that's going to do nothing but hurt the next generation, the students who are graduating now, next year, and going forth. That's all it's going to do is hurt them. How is it fair to them? It's not. And that affects us on the state level. You're right. And there's a lot of things that if we are able to affect it on the state level, it will give people the peace of mind they need so they can refocus on those bigger issues. Because when you are in survival mode, you don't care. You're not thinking about this. You're thinking about ABC, not XYZ. Let's be honest. If you've ever been in that poverty mode, if you've ever been like, when did $100,000 become the poverty line? If you've ever struggled, you're going to be sitting there going, yeah, no, when I'm struggling, I'm focused on this. Everything else doesn't matter until this is taken care of, because I don't have the time. I don't have the energy. I'm too tired to. And that's, you hear that word, I'm too tired to. You'll hear everybody say, I'm exhausted. I'm tired. We're fighting, and we've been fighting so hard and for so long that a lot of us don't have the steam to keep going on. Well, that's where it's like, okay, fine. I'll pick up the torch for a little bit. You rest. And then here in a few weeks, when I need a week off, you take up the torch and let me rest. And we'll do it like that. Okay. We'll take turns if we have to. Because as long as one person stands up to start fighting and saying, this is not okay, it's not right, we deserve better. We deserve better. And that's what it comes down to. We deserve better. As citizens of this country, as citizens of this state, we deserve better.
I agree. And I would just say, because I'm sure we probably need to wrap this up soon, but for anybody that's listening, if you're in any of the counties that I mentioned earlier, please go to natefor38.com and sign up to be a volunteer. Because one thing that definitely helps, and I'm someone that's struggled with mental health if you can say you haven't struggled with mental health, I'm not sure I can trust you as a person, because we've all gone through it, right? We've all gone through it. And I hope that we're a little kinder to each other in the future, because like I said, find someone that's been able to get through life without some level of difficulty, and that's pretty extraordinary. But I think we just have to be cognizant of, you do have to take breaks. You can do something little and it makes you feel good, and then take a break, and then you can do something little again. So volunteering is a great way to do that, because maybe once every couple of weeks you'll have to call 10 people. And all I'm going to ask you is to call 10 people, ask them if they've heard of my name before, ask if they're registered to vote, And when those 10 calls are done, you can be done. And that is a huge help for someone like me because if I can get 100 people making 10 calls, right, that's 1,000 calls right there. And it's 10 calls. It's not that much. So if you're not in my district, actually, you can call on my behalf from anywhere.
Yeah,
so
it
if there's
doesn't
anybody out
matter.
there,
When it comes to volunteering, that's the best part.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what state or what district you're in.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You can volunteer.
yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
we're talking
Phone
about
banking.
volunteering. And one of the reasons why he won is because he didn't just have volunteers in New York. He had people coming in who were former New Yorkers, people who were coming in from out of state, people who were coming in who lived in the States and moved to Canada and came back just to help him. They volunteered for a weekend.
Yeah.
That in and of itself was huge. It's why he won, is because of all the volunteers, not the donors, the volunteers.
That's right. Well, and
Not the call, it's the message. Yep.
yeah, and lastly, obviously that's one thing that I hate about this whole thing is the money part of it. It's for a house race, they want you to raise a pretty significant amount of money. And while I'm going to continue to try to fundraise, I want to try to do it creatively. People on TikTok, I think I'm getting close to, I think I'm over 3,000 now. Sharing my profile, just getting my message a little bit farther, that doesn't cost anything. And then down the road, if I'm asking for a couple bucks, that stuff will add up and it'll help me buy signs. But I want to do this as efficiently and as cost efficiently as possible. The idea that a great candidate just raises a boatload of money, like I've never understood like that, why that's a good indicator of a candidate. To me, a good candidate is going to have a strategic, balanced approach to spending his money and not just raising it because he can. So
See, and that's where I'm like, okay, cap it at 30,000. Tell them
Yeah.
you have to win it at 30, and that's being generous. Like
absolutely.
cap it.
Absolutely.
But here's the thing: is I want a candidate who can budget. I want a candidate who knows how to budget. Why?
Yeah.
Because so many of them don't know how to budget. There's so many budget shortfalls. Please give us a candidate who knows how to budget. That's what we want.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily want somebody who can raise $100,000. We want somebody who goes, okay, I raised 15,000, and with that 15,000, I did all of this, and
That's
I
right.
won.
Yep.
Versus the person who had 45,000 and didn't. And I'm like, oh, that man knows what he's doing. 'Cause he can take that money just like all of us. He can take that dollar and make it stretch. Okay,
Yeah.
he's going to be somebody who's going to understand that we need to do better because we are all struggling.
Yeah.
Ain't
Cool.
got to raise it. And that's just it, is you don't have to raise all that money. The money is not necessarily an indicator of anything. One of the things I wanted to bring up was the APAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, and how they have a secondary one. It's called J Street. I just found this one out. But yeah, it's all pro-Israel, getting money, having people take money for Israel. So now they're calling in all of their favors from us, hence why we are now at war. Because if you do your research, well, there is actually no good reason we should be at war. The counter-terrorist director stepped down saying there's no reason why we should be at war. There's no reason to attack Iran. We quite literally did it because Saudi Arabia, which, by the way, paid Jared Kushner $2 billion to his private company, and he's asking for more money.
Yep.
That's why. Because Saudi Arabia and Israel called in their favors. Because they have so much money in our country, they basically bought us.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, if you look at a lot of the politicians who have taken APAC money over the past decade, a lot of them are currently in positions of power where they have that vote. So they voted for it. Or they will
Yeah.
vote. Or this is going to happen.
Well,
Because,
I'll,
go ahead.
I was just saying, I'll leave you with this. Like, the thought that I would even know someone that's from APAC is kind of interesting to me. Like, what if they reach out at some point? Like,
How do you handle that? Because you
I
never
have
know.
spent, yeah, well, I can tell you how I handle it, is that I can't think of a situation where I would give up a pledge like saying no to corporate money, because people want someone with some backbone, and all of the tactics that these big companies use. Obviously, we're talking about a really big one.
We're talking about the big ones. Yes. All of those.
Yeah. They use tactics they wine you, dine you, they make you feel super important. They, and for a lot of insecure men, that makes them feel really good. But like, that stuff doesn't work on me. A fancy dinner, who cares? Going to a Pacer game, who cares? But that works on people, and I'm pretty rooted in, nope, there's some principled things that are black and white for me, and taking money from an organization like that. I'm anti-war. I've been anti-war since I found out that my Uncle Fred had such a crazy story. And with a son the age that I have, I'm even more anti-war today. If we can't solve our problems with words, again, I don't know how there's hope.
At times, even the most pacifistic person, Gandhi will tell you, you have to flip a table.
Right, yeah. You're right.
Violent, but you got to flip the table, and you got to make them take notice.
Yeah.
There's a difference between flipping a table and being violent and going to war. And I agree with you, because it's one of those, I'm a pacifist by nature. I don't want to raise my fists unless I absolutely have to. And then if I have to, I'm not going to leave any room for you to have any discourse, because it'd be like, okay, you wouldn't listen to what I had to say, and now I'm going to force you to listen to what I have to say.
Yeah.
Congratulations. You get to shut up and just hear me go until you actually like, fine, I'm listening. Thank you. Now we can get this over with. But no.
Oh, man.
I love this. I have so much more we can talk about, because there's unions, there's, the EPA rollbacks. A lot of that still affects us on the state level. It affects the
Sure.
people. A lot of what people are concerned about is that wage gap crisis, where we are not being paid what we are worth, and we cannot even afford the homes we're living in, and people are being kicked out and foreclosed, and then having BlackRock swoop in and buy, this, and having foreign investors come and buy land and then build up, high rises. And we're seeing a lot of that right here in the area where I live, where they are building a lot of apartment complexes they don't need to be building for money that people can't afford to put into those. And again, the issue is, if you go and you take a look at who owns the land and who owns the building that people are renting and leasing, it is not an American investor. The money is going into another country's economy. It's not staying with us. That's part of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So it is 9:30. What I'll do is we'll put a pin on it. We will schedule again for a few weeks just to follow up, like 4 to 5, and we'll have another conversation. We'll talk about where you're going, as you keep going and campaigning, how you've tweaked whatever plans you have, or as you've learned more, you've talked to more people, you've found out more on your end about what you can do. We want to hear it. We do, and that's just it. We want to hear all of it. I want to keep in contact with my candidates. Why? Because it's not just a one and done. If you are running all the way until whenever the vote is, whenever we go to cast, whether it's May or June or September or November, believe it or not, depending on the state, it's a different date. There are a lot of them. So yeah, and then even if you don't, I want to talk to you and find out what your next steps are. Why? Because is this an end for you if you don't get it? Really?
No.
I hope not.
No.
Because that's exactly it. So
No.
if you don't get elected, what do you do then? But that's going to be closer to that date.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's perfect. And just to be clear, I organized as Hoosiers to elect Nate Stout, and not specific for the position, because
Right.
I'm ready to get in the game one way or another. Like, I know I've talked to a lot of people that they see the writing on the wall, that there has to be a way forward, and they're going to need to work with people with different ideas. And if being a candidate is the right way for me to serve, great. If being more in the guy that currently holds this office, he's got like a board position with ALEC, which I don't know if you're familiar with ALEC, but they write most of the legislation in DC. I need to get into the places where our voices have to be represented, and we'll see on November 3rd if it's the Indiana House. But regardless, I'm not going to give up.
And I love that. And that's why I want to keep having you on, because I want to get you out there so that even if it's not for this position, because eventually you're going to find what it is you're meant to do. We all do if we actually walk the path we're meant to walk. And if you see the writing on the wall and everything inside of you is telling you, do it, well, here I am. I'm doing the things that, everything is said to me 2 years ago. Extreme social anxiety. You probably would never have guessed that. Oh my good Lord, could not talk to people. So I started streaming because it has helped. And now I can just go up to people and be like, hi, I'm so-and-so, blah, 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 blah. Do you want
That's
me to be on my
amazing.
TikTok?
No, that's good. Hey, I was just saying.
When we walk our path, which for me it was start being a massage therapist, get used to that, and now do this. So that way I can help everybody else spread their voice.
I love it. And you're getting rid of fascia all at the same time. Like, right?
And that's just it is, and then we are going to grow. We are all going to grow. We are going to make it. And I want to help get you there however I can.
Thank you. Well, and I appreciate you having me on. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Now that I know, and it's really annoying that you have to re-download the computer thing every time. But yeah, it's been a really interesting journey. I met my social media manager on TikTok. She saw me walking and making a video way back in the day. And I think that the people, certainly there have been a lot of people creating content for a long time, but I think you got to follow your calling. And I felt led to stick my name out there and at least put a competitor on the ballot for this year. And yeah, let's keep talking along the way.
I love it. And here's the thing. I know you're going to do it one way or the other, whether it's District 38 or somewhere else. You're going to find what it is and you're going to be able to help the people around you. I have no doubt about that one.
Thank you. Well, that's the goal. That's the plan. And keep doing your thing, because we are going to need to have trusted media people that, back in the day, you could make a living off of a smaller piece of pie. And I think we're going to go back to those sooner than we think.
Well, let's hope so, because I got no more pieces of pie to give out. Like there's not even crumbs. Like I'm scraping on the floor going, I got a crumb. You want a crumb?
Hey, look, people pay for all kinds of services. To subscribe to someone that you know and trust for $5 or $10 a month, I really believe that that's going to be the model. And if you can build an audience of a couple thousand people, guess what? You can live off that. That could be your full-time job, chasing stories and serving your customers. And so good luck, and yeah, I look forward to watching your journey.
Well, I have 11 interviews scheduled for this month alone. Yeah.
Great.
I started with Ethan on the 4th, and then Christopher came in during the conversation with Ethan, so I messaged him afterwards, and then he said yes. So after I interviewed him, he sent me somebody, and at that point, I started going through Ethan's and Christopher's, the people they follow, and anybody who's a candidate, I just started sending out, hi, do you want to be on my TikTok?
Yeah.
That's how you got yours.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, sure. No, it's perfect.
I've had 20 responses so far. People are coming back with more and more yeses. It's been a week and people are like, oh my God, I'm sorry I didn't respond before. I'm like, no, you're cool. Like, I'm just happy somebody responded. Like, it's a shot in the dark going, hey, do you want to be on? And be like, half these people are going to think I'm crazy. Like, I'm sort of weird stalker.
No, this is great. And let's stay in touch.
Absolutely. Like I said, we'll get together and we'll get you back on in a few weeks to kind of see how things are going and go from there.
Awesome. Have a good night.
You too. You have a good night.
I'll see if I can figure out how to get out of here.
Hey, Russ. How are you? And thank you for the gifts. And I have a kitty on my lap and she is out. She's passed out kitty. So cute. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for the gifts. I greatly appreciate it. But I am going to hop off. It's almost 10 o'clock and I'm going to have some dinner. I will be back on Saturday. I will be back on at 6 p.m. for sure because I have an interview with Erica Kopp. She is out of Virginia District 1. But tonight we had Nate Stout on. He is running for Indiana Congress District 38. I will have the video posted on YouTube in the next few days. We are slowly getting each one of those updated. So I look forward to the next one and I look forward to seeing you guys later. Take care. And thanks for the gifts, Russ. I greatly appreciate it.
We need to do